Alright, so finally covering this video on this 2.5-inch DJI-03 quad that I built, custom built. I think I showed that in this video here with the Eagle one from YMZ. This has a full-size 03 air unit and basically nothing stripped out, and this one weighed like 127 grams if I remember right. Yeah, 120, almost 128 grams. And then this one here has the naked 03 camera and air unit. This is actually, I pulled this from the newbie drone Acroby 7503 that I reviewed a few weeks ago. And so obviously everything's nice and super light. And then this one here is 89.6 grams. So flying it with the same battery that I was flying it with before on the Eagle 1. This is the 454S. You get a lot more flight time, a lot more acroability. Although I was trying out this fly fish antenna for the 03 system, and this is a little bit longer than the standard antenna. I'm not sure if it's going to come out here on the video. It's a tiny bit longer, and this is kind of flapping around back here with my little collapsible antenna mount, because I can stick this under the battery strap like this. I don't know, it's I think I'm going to rebuild this with just whip antennas instead of this antenna here, because I want to make some hard maneuvers with this kind of weight in the back here. And this being so light, this actually acts as kind of a pendulum, and it has an effect on the tuning. Otherwise, if I'm just flying it, kind of cruising around, flies, it's really nice. It's not very good lines. I think this is good for obviously cinematic video because there's no props in view. This frame here is made by a company called Alpha RC. I've done some other videos on their frames previously. This is a 2.5-inch for 2.5-inch props. 9mm motors on the mounts here. So the parts that in terms of the other electronics, these came from the Cinerace from Flywoo, the Cinerace 20. So this is a 1203 motor. I think it's like 3450 kV, and the same the Flywoo flight controller. And this is the one that has the USB port that comes out of the bottom, the micro USB port. And you can see this frame can take 20 by 20 or whoop style 25 by 25 flight controllers, and of course I'm using the all-in-one on this one here. Bottom plate is 3mm thick, and the top plate is 2mm thick. The side plates are 1mm thick, and then the standoffs here are 24mm tall, M2 screws. And let's see what else here. The cost is about $11 plus shipping and tax, so it was about $15 for this frame. And I went with this frame because someone had asked me like why there aren't any 2.5-inch micros with 03 as a bind and fly. And I honestly don't know what the answer is to that question as to why those don't exist. I might be mistaken. I think the only one that I know about that's like fairly new that has come out recently is the one from Emax, the Tiny Hawk. That's a 2.5-inch, but that's only analog and HD0. There's no walk snail or DJI-03 for that one. So yeah, so there are some 2.5-inch frames on AliExpress. This is actually a newer version of an older one that they had. There's like, I'll put the name up here on the screen, or you can check the link in the description. It's some weird name that I can't remember, but I think the previous one was like 115mm, and this one's 118mm motor to motor. And so this is a hybrid X-style, H-style frame. So as you can see here with the way the arms are designed, so if these were thicker here and this wasn't here, then this would be an H-style frame. Or if you got rid of these, then you only had these, that would be like an X-style frame. So obviously pretty strong at 3mm, at this weight, at only 90 grams or so. Even with the battery, it's like well under 250 grams. Yeah, so with the battery, it's like 145 grams, and I'm probably going to reduce that weight even more by swapping out this pretty large antenna that I think is not really needed. I mean, I am getting some pretty good flight times on this one here on the 450, but nothing like where I can go super long range. So this is going to be better on something a little bit bigger, like a 3.5 inch or 4 inch, where I might get more battery life and longer flight times and be able to go further. And then this antenna, you know, kind of sticking out far away from the frame and all the electronics here, you're going to get pretty good reception. It's going to extend your range on something like this. And in terms of comparing this to, you know, the standard antenna, at least at the range that I fly, not too far away, they seem to be identical. I've heard some testing on these, and those flip-up antennas from Flyfish. I think they're called the G2 antennas for the goggles. Those in combination with these antennas got a little bit more clarity, and like higher, like the bit rate didn't drop as much at the same distances, whereas on the standard equipment it did a little bit. So you might, you know, for those of you that are looking for a little bit more performance, these parts might be something you might want to consider, and they're not terribly expensive, so definitely worth trying out if you want to check those out. And I'll put links to that stuff down in the video description. So I'm sure some of you are wondering about this camera mount here. This is the naked camera, and I made some custom parts to fit this in here because the whole mount here is, I think, meant for like a standard 19mm micro analog camera. This isn't designed for DJI-03, and there's like this basic hole right here as a cutout in the carbon that I'm using some custom parts. I don't want to just show them yet because I'm kind of developing sort of an idea on soft mounting the naked camera, because there aren't really a lot of good solutions out there right now. So far so good, but you'll probably see something a little bit more refined later in a future video. So if you're really curious about how I develop this, I will talk about that more down the road, but it's not really quite ready yet. I don't want to just like throw it out in the world and then like have a bunch of people like ask me questions that I can't really answer yet, because it's not really a finished idea. So it's not fully refined, and it's not really done yet. So yeah, you can probably make, you know, for those of you that are really good designers and understand how to soft mount stuff, you probably have an idea of how I put this together, but I don't want to get into specifics quite yet, because I think if you want to like sort of, if you have a lot of older frames, for example, where for 19mm analog cameras, this is kind of a way to go to adapt those. They adapt the naked 03 camera to mount in this sort of setup here, and because there's really, it's kind of difficult to get it right. As you can see, as I said, I'm not quite done yet, so I will have more content on the camera mount a bit later. The 03, of course, naked 03 is just hacked together with some dental floss and mounted to the 20x20 holes here on the top plate, and very secure. I mean, it doesn't really move around too much. And I have a little plastic part there. It's a 20x20 to 25x25 adapter. Not sure where I got to pick that up from some other build from a long time ago. Something that was in my drawer. I was like, yeah, I decided to use that to mount the 03 air unit, and there's plenty of room there between the flight controller and the 03 air unit. Seems to be working pretty well. Flies really well, as you can probably see with some flight footage, and I'll link more flight footage down in the video description, as well as links to the parts I used and the frame. Again, I said I got these from the Center Race 20, but you can buy these parts individually, the motors and the 4-in-1 ESC. You can pick those up from Flywheel. Alright, that'll do it for this video. Talk to you guys in the next one.